Welcome in, everybody. We are live. Welcome to Grind Time, presented by Full Time Fantasy and the FFWC. I am joined tonight by Abe Prowse. He is the winner and world champion of the FFWC World Championship, winner of 150 grand plus more. We'll get into that in a little bit, but he took down the grand prize of 150 grand inside this contest. And the story tonight is not only is he a good fantasy player and he took down this massive tournament, but I want to talk to him about this story. It's a touching story. A lot of us know who Chad Schroeder is, one of the best fantasy players in the world, and he wasn't able to make it. Abe, why don't you tell us the rest of the story?
Okay, it was Sunday afternoon around 4 p.m. Scott Atkins sent out a message in Discord. That's how a lot of the full-time fantasy guys, they figure out if they want to do a draft or not. A lot of times it'll start right there. And said Chad Schrader had a tragedy in the family, and he couldn't draft. We only had about 2 hours to go, and I immediately sent Scott a message saying I could take the spot, and he took my information, and we had it taken care of. Like within 10, 15 minutes, I was ready to draft.
That's so. Now walk us through it. Like, was this how many teams did you do? What number was this team? Like, are you a volume player? Like, walk me through like your average like amount of teams that you have on an annual basis.
Well, I played in a couple of home leagues, and really, this was my only high stakes team that I've ever played. Very
That's
first
awesome.
one. Yeah. Never played high stakes. I consider high stakes like 1,500 and up. And this one's like close to 2,000. So I never played one before. Not that much. The most I did was the online championship, I think, and that was 300. So
this was your first toe dip into the true high stake experience.
Yes, my very first my experience in high stakes is 5 months.
And you just walk out with 150 grand in your pocket.
It was amazing.
Welcome to the big leagues. What an entrance. No, it's a fantastic job. The team is great. I was looking it over. And the funny thing, we were talking off air about this, was I was trying to pull up the draft board today, and I said, I want to just familiarize myself with this draft board. What league is he in? What type of prizes did he take down? Because outside of the overall prize, we've talked about it multiple times here on Grind Time. The FFWC has some killer in-league prizes. So 10,000 to a dominator. That's 10,000 if your best record and most points. There's several ways you can earn money, whether it's most points, best record, second most points, second best record, etc. So I'm trying to find this draft board, and all of a sudden I look down and it says online 2, and I'm like, oh, hold up, I think I'm in online 2. And I pull this thing up and I look up. Yep. Abe has a dominator. So he dominated our league. That's another 10,000, right? What was your record?
My record, I believe, was 11-3.
I think that's right. Yeah, it was a pretty dominant performance. I was fighting for a playoff spot. We were about like 20 points removed in the last week, and then I think our team shit the bed and we missed playoffs at that point. But and we fell down the depth chart. It was a pretty tight race from like I think second to like sixth. I forget where we landed. It was somewhere down there around 6. But I was looking up. I just started laughing. I was like, oh, this is going to be even better to tell the story, because I was actually in this league and didn't even realize how much he dominated. And I was looking through your team. So I'm going to pull up the board here. Let's talk about the draft, talk about the players.
Okay.
And you can tell me, you can just kind of walk me through. Let me change this background real quick. You can just kind of walk me through this draft. How did this thing work out? Where'd you draft from? Let me zoom in so people can see this thing too.
Okay. I drafted out of the 11 hole. I kind of like that spot. I had Kelsey as my 6th overall on player this year on my own ranking, and he fell to the 11 overall, and I was very happy to see him there. Normally, I don't ever take a tight end in the first round. I just never do. I usually 10th round, I'll take whoever this time I just said, you know what? I'm taking him there because that guy, when he gets into the secondary, he just, you're not taking him down. How many times did we see him blast into the end zone once he gets to the secondary? He does not go down. He's the undisputed number one, tight end. At least at the beginning of the year, he was to me, and it was beautiful. But DK Metcalf, there was a player just ahead of him. I got sniped. I had Jefferson on my radar. JJ, love him. But after that, I seen out of all the guys that were left, I kind of like Keenan Allen, but I really like DK Metcalf because young player, he has a connection with Russell Wilson. Just it was all there. I really liked him. So that's the route I went there. And I kind of had like a little bit of a mini zero RB there. I usually have a running back by now, by the second, but just the way it worked out, I took David Montgomery in the third. I just seen all the people that were kind of bashing him. I did some best balls, and he was going anywhere from the 4th to the 7th round. And, I kind of figured I'd better get a running back here. And he was the one that looked the best to me right there. And then Josh Jacobs, he was going anywhere from the 4th to the 7th round. People were really down on him this year. And
They were.
I thrive off that. I love when guys start, losing their value. I mean, people they keep dropping, and I usually swoop in and grab guys like that. And especially in this league here, because I didn't like any of the running backs. I was really sweating when it came up to Mike. The No Mercy took Mike Evans. I was sweating. I was worried about not getting Montgomery. I really wanted him bad. Anyway, the 5th round, I took Cortland Sutton. He was pretty good for about, week 2 to week 6. But after that, he didn't do much after that. But he wasn't a wasted pick, but, could have definitely done better. But the pick right after that, Deebo Samuel, oh, man.
You got my boy.
He was my 33rd on my board. And I kind of thought people were mad at him last year because he got hurt and all that. So I let him kind of fall a little bit, but I couldn't wait any longer. I said, somebody's going to grab him. He performed absolutely amazing year for him. Really didn't get hurt too much. That's everybody's he'll get hurt, but he really didn't get hurt. I mean, I think he missed maybe one game. And that was
the groin injury.
He's such a tough player, and Shanahan loves tough players. And I think those two are going to have a happy marriage for a little while anyway. Then Hollywood Brown, he started off the season really strong.
Yeah, he was wide receiver, I think 5 at one point, and then ended up sliding to like 9. But for the first 6-7 games, he was a wide receiver 1.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I was really liking my wide receivers. And then Jalen Waddle, I didn't really want to take him that early, but I seen this group of players, and I knew that they were pretty savvy. And I said, you know what? I'm taking Jalen Waddle here. And I figured being a rookie, I figured he would play out of the slot a lot, and he did. And I'm not a big, Devontae Parker. How many years did he have where he played all, 17 games? Not many. But anyway, Devontae Parker he's a good player, but I kind of figured he might go down, and he did. And then who was the other one? They got Fuller. We know his track record. He gets hurt a lot. Yeah. I knew Waddle had a little bit of a gimpy ankle to start the season, but I was loving Jalen Waddle. I loved that he was picked out of the, a top 10 wide receiver. Draft capital was amazing for him. I was all over him. I couldn't let him get by. And then number 9, the 9th pick, Russell Wilson. He was up and down. He had some floor of 6.95 points or something, but he had a ceiling of about 30. So he was all over the place. Kind of a strange year. All I know is he made it count when I needed him, but he went down with the mallet finger, and I had to pick up Carson Wentz I rode with Wentz for about 4 or 5 weeks. Wentz was playing really good. And then when Wilson came back, I didn't start Wentz anymore. And Wentz kind of started playing bad. So it was kind of interesting, but
a great timing piece.
Yeah, sometimes the quarterbacks, I've seen a lot of these guys going. Last year, it kind of started. Some of these guys, a cluster of them were going in the 4th to 6th round, and I just, with quarterback, I always like to wait. I mean, I know the running quarterbacks are a premium, but a lot of them do get hurt. But I don't know. I thought that was the right spot to take them right there. My worst pick here was round 10, David Johnson. I just got him for depth. I kept him on the team the whole year. I thought maybe he'd be the last man standing, which he kind of was, but the dumpster fire in that backfield was, towards the end. Who emerged? It was
Rex Burkhead.
Yeah,
ended up being the victorious.
And he came on. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was going to be David Johnson doing that, but hey, he was just, roster depth. And next after that, I had Cole Beasley. Didn't really think too much of the pick. I just, that part of the draft, I was kind of, I don't know. I felt like he might, because of his quarterback, the high tide rises all ships. So I figured he might get a piece of that, but, I ended up dropping him. He was one of the guys I dropped. But Singletary, interesting. He helped me a little bit at the beginning of the year. I had Montgomery and Jacobs both went down at different times, and I was filling in with Singletary a lot. I had to use him a lot more than I wanted, but he came through just about every time I used him. And then, Nelson Aguilar, I only used him for 1 week, a bye week fill-in, and then I think I dropped him. Nothing special there. But then Van Jefferson. Oh,
that was a good hit.
That was he helped me get that Dominator because Coyote miscreants. He had a bunch of Rams going. Sony Michel. It was the last game before the playoffs, I believe. Anyway, he had Sony Michel, Matt Stafford, and Cooper Kupp. And I had a nice lead, but I just barely held on to it. But Stafford hit Van Jefferson in that game for a nice touchdown on Monday Night Football. And that was just what the doctor ordered for me. He pretty much helped me get the Dominator. And then right after Van Jefferson, Chuba, sorry.
I call him Chuba too. It's so easy to do.
Oh yeah. Chuba really came through for me. I can't remember which guy it was. I think it was Jacobs went down with a gimpy ankle for a few weeks. And Chuba, I used him for about 4 or 5 weeks. And man, he was, he was a great number 2 running back. I really liked his performance. And then, right when he started tailing off, I got, I think it was Jacobs back. And, I got what I needed out of him. He filled the position. And the rest of the picks there, nothing spectacular there. Baker Mayfield ended up dropping him. And, I don't know, Cook and Eskridge, they both didn't really amount to too much there.
All right. So overall, I mean, great draft. I was in here. Mine, I was thinking the 6th spot. Where is that? So 12, 11, 10, 9, 8 hole. And so my draft not as good as yours, obviously. I didn't take down a Dominator in this league. I didn't take home 150 grand. I'm pretty sure this was one of my couple teams that actually did not win anything. But so enough on my team. This team did. This team sucked. Let's look at your overall roster, and I'm going to stop sharing this for everybody real quick, and we're going to share your roster that was at the end of the year.
Okay.
And I'm going to move us to the side here so we can see this a little better and zoom in for people to see. So quarterback at the end of so everyone just saw the draft. Now, how much different, as before I scroll down, how much different is this roster end of year from draft season? Would you say, is it significantly different?
I had I think I kept 15 of the 20. So 5 different players.
Okay.
I've had rosters where I've really turned them over. So like on a 20-man roster, I've had maybe 8 left and 2 all new players. But I was grinding the waiver wire out, but not as much on this team. The draft, I liked, like Van Jefferson and Chuba, and a lot of these guys really came through for me, and I didn't have any reason to drop them. But there was a couple of players that I added, like Cole Kmet. Kelsey was out, and I started him, and then I think his bye week, I started Cole Kmet against the Lions, which is a nice target, on Thanksgiving, and he came through with, I think it was like 10, 12 points, and I'll take that any day from my starting tight end. But to have a backup do that I picked up off the wire, it was beautiful.
Yeah, so let's run through this team. So end of season, we had Russell Wilson, Zach Wilson, and Cam Newton. What prompted the 3 quarterbacks going into the playoffs? Was it COVID related? Was it uncertainty of Cam? Walk me through why you chose to go 3 quarterbacks. And did any of these, I'm assuming no, but did any of these even break the roster down the stretch?
Yeah, I was a little bit worried about Russell Wilson's finger. I didn't know if, his finger was really going to hold out. There was reports that he might have came back too early, things like that. His ball that he was throwing was really starting to scare me.
Yep.
So I picked up Zach Wilson. There really wasn't much on the waiver wire, and I picked up Cam Newton. He had one big game, and I took him into the playoffs with me.
Okay, running backs, end of season roster: Josh Jacobs, David Montgomery, Chuba Hubbard, Dave Montgomery. So the only addition you had was Khalil Herbert. Did you get him as Montgomery went down when he was hurt, and were you able to utilize him throughout that time that he was gone?
Yeah, I grabbed him off the waiver wire. I put in like a $237 bid. I absolutely had to have him.
Yeah, and it was a great pickup.
He was great. 3 weeks,
fantastic.
Double digits.
Yeah, so that was a key point there as well. Wide receiver, we already saw Deebo Samuel, Jalen Waddle, DK Metcalf, Marquise Brown. Okay, I see another name on here that definitely helped the championship. You picked up Amon-Ra St. Brown, and looks like you added Cortland Sutton. I don't remember seeing his name on the draft, right? Did somebody drop him?
No, he was my 5th overall, or sorry, 5th round pick. Yeah,
I missed that. So you added Amon-Ra St. Brown. Was I'm assuming one of your starters down the stretch, correct?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was doing great. He's a huge reason why he got the final 1.2 points that I needed to win. He won it for me with a 1.2 yard, a 2-yard catch. So I got 1.2 points off of that. And that was just enough to hold it off the second place guy. So
what you're saying is you're going to have an Amon-Ra St. Brown jersey at your house soon.
Oh yeah, definitely. I love the guy. It was a beautiful thing.
All right, let's take a look down at tight end. So you already talked about Cole Kmet. You ended up going with the Raven. Yeah, Justin Tucker. And then defense, you picked up Dallas. I'm assuming you started them in the beginning of the year, or Patriots combination. How are you picking your defenses week in, week out?
I picked the Patriots, and I rolled with them all year until their bye week. I picked up Dallas because I needed them, and they started going crazy. They had one week where they had 18 points. Another week they had I think it might have even been 20 points. They went bananas. They were a big reason for my success too at the end in the playoffs there, except for the last week.
Awesome. Well, a very solid roster. So what you paid in your buy-in, you win 10 grand for a Dominator, and then you get 150 grand at the overall prize.
Yeah,
just phenomenal job. I love this story that it's your first year in. It's such good karma, right? You filled in for Chad as he was dealing with a family emergency, and here you go, and you take the whole thing down. I love to hear it. That's just I heard that story and I was like, holy crap, that gave me chills. Real quick, I want to ask a little bit about your draft philosophy. So I saw a little bit about your draft, so it might answer most of my questions. But do you have a draft philosophy? Are you a believer in hero running back? anchor running back? I mean, do you think there's a merit to zero running back? Like, walk me through what your draft philosophy is.
Well, every time I draft, it kind of develops into its own thing. But I have tried zero running back. I didn't have too much luck. Like I like to do a little, like exactly what I did, like pass on running back in the first and second round, and by the third and fourth round, maybe have two running backs. Two running backs somewhere in the first 5 picks, and I'm good with that. But it can fluctuate from draft to draft. You just never know. Sometimes you get sniped. You got to be ready to pivot to the next player you have queued up, or I usually have about 3 or 4 guys that I can go to, and you never know. Sometimes the strategy is just something you put together on the fly. It's we've all been through those drafts where the guy just in front of you keeps taking your guy, and you just got to go to the next guy, and you just keep going and grinding it out. But
yeah, it's funny when I talk to other players, and you'll hear some players say that they don't enter a draft with a plan, and I call bullshit. Everybody enters a draft with a plan, but that plan usually goes haywire anywhere from round 1 to round 20. It's just a matter of when. And it's not that they don't have a plan. The plan is to be fluid, right? And it's to be able to make adjustments on the fly, and it's to being able to just, understand the room, read the room, and then make adjustments through your draft. So, you mentioned being sniped earlier in the draft, and you made some nice adjustments. So I think that's what, really separates players when they say they don't have a plan, and the players who say that they have a plan. I think it's the players that are able to adjust on the fly and remain fluid through the draft. So walk me through your week. So you mentioned that you were grinding the waiver wire. What does your fantasy football schedule look like? Like, game ends Monday. When are you grinding waivers? Are you grinding them during games? Are you grinding them as soon as Monday night ends? Are you spending Tuesday on the waiver wire? Like, when you're setting your lineups? Walk me through the average week for Abe.
Okay. Wednesday, it's waiver wire day. That's what I do. And pretty much Sunday in the morning, it's a second waiver wire. But on Wednesday, it's anywhere from 4 to 6 hours, because I had 21 teams this year, but most of them were dynasty, and this was the only high stakes one. They were all just kind of friend home leagues, things like that. But Sunday in the morning, it's a second waiver wire, just in case somebody got COVID. You got that shot to get that last guy by 10 o'clock, and then Sunday, it's NFL Red Zone from 1 to 7. Love that. You get all the scoring. Love the whole thing. That's an addicting show. Probably my favorite show. Then it's Monday Night Football, the entire game, and Thursday Night Football, the entire game, which is usually a dumpster fire, but not always.
I keep saying they just need to be gone with it. Like, there's never any good that comes from it.
No.
It's injuries. There's news never leading up to it that you choose the wrong decision. And so I wish they just would be gone with Thursday Night Football, quite frankly.
Watered down playbook.
Yeah, it's always like low scoring, or it's just some sort of, like you said, dumpster fire.
Oh man, it's terrible.
So you watch Red Zone on Sunday. Do you go back through? Do you have like NFL Rewind? Do you go back through and watch games that you want to watch the full games of, or are you just watching primetime primarily?
Mostly primetime. I do have Game Pass. I'll watch a couple of the games if there's a lot of scoring or whatever. Do the fast watch. You can go through and they'll cut it. It just,
it's like 25-minute games. That's what I watch too.
You just go right on through it, and you just eating or whatever, watching, and just getting the gist of everything that happened.
Okay. Awesome. So you win 160 grand. What are you going to spend it on? Do you have any plans? Have you gone out and bought anything yet?
Yeah, I got a truck.
Nice. What kind of trucks you get?
GMC Sierra. It was about 50 something thousand. So a lot of it went into that. Those things went up.
Yeah. Cars are crazy right now.
Yeah.
Everything is crazy right now with costs. So you still got 100 grand. You got any more plans? You going to go on vacation? You going to do anything fun?
I'm gonna wait until the taxes are done and I'll figure it out. I don't know
Yeah.
exactly. I never had this kind of cash, so I don't want to get in trouble with the IRS or anything like that. So I'm gonna chill out for a little bit, but whatever's left, then I'll to be continued, you know. But I have plans. I'm sure there'll be a little bit more and just upgrades on the house, and of course some more FFWC entries for next year.
So that was my next question. How many are you going to do next year after winning the overall with one lineup?
Um, I'm not sure how many you're allowed to go.
I think it's 3%. I think is the number. I don't quote me on that. It might be 4%. Okay. Scott, if you're on here, how many is a player able to enter in? We'll let Scott answer that. That's awesome though. Yeah, if I won the overall, I'd be entering more for sure as well. I mean, it's enticing, right? You won it with
I'm figuring at least 5. Hopefully it'll let me get in at least 5. But
yeah, easily. I think the number's closer to like 50 or 60.
Oh, 50 or 60? Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll be able to get that many, but that's a lot of entries.
It's a lot of drafting, a lot of times. So you were new to the high stakes world this year, taking down the big bucks. What is one piece of advice that you could give to either new high stakes players or players who are hesitant to make the jump or that just haven't really quite dipped their toes in the water yet? What's your one piece of advice? Having dipped your toes in last year and winning over 150 grand, what's your piece of advice for those players?
First and foremost, make your own personal rankings. This year, I kind of secluded myself from like XM Radio 87. I didn't listen to anybody or anything. I went with what I wanted, and I didn't want to get kind of pushed into, not push, but I didn't want to get on other people's players. I wanted to develop my own players, and it worked out pretty good this year. And the next thing, grind it out on the waiver wire. If you don't have the greatest draft, hey, the waiver wire, we've seen Elijah Mitchell. We've seen a lot of guys off the waiver wire this year. It was insane. And then the last, I would say, like pick your players. Have your group of guys that you really believe in. And if you don't like guys that get hurt or have questionable backgrounds, stay away from them. Go with younger guys that or you think that they got their best football ahead of them.
So you said you make your own rankings. Are you doing what time of the year are you making them? Are you adjusting them as camp goes on? Are you adjusting them as we get it through preseason prior to week 1? Walk me through that process for our listeners. I create my own rankings, but most of our listeners probably do not, or if they have, maybe it might not be to the level. So I want to see like your process with rankings.
Oh, I usually start out with best ball and just kind of see where it's at. And the first couple of drafts, man, it's pretty funny. I remember last year, I don't even think Elijah Moore even got drafted 1 through 20, and no Elijah Moore and, a couple other players like Waddle, I think went in the 16th round. And, it's really insane. And I just try to do some best ball and kind of take it from there and see who's going where. And like Taylor, start the season this year, I think in best ball, he was going, I think in the 4th round or something, or 3rd round. I can't quite remember. And then, man, we know where he's going this year. Number 1 overall.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that guy is amazing. I can't believe it, how good he is.
Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal what he was able to do. Like, just I was looking at like his rushing numbers and then his yards after contact were the same amount as like their RB2 rushing yards. It's just astronomical, the statistics that he put up.
Oh yeah, he's amazing. Beautiful player. The guy's just got wheels. 4.340, I think. He's gone.
Yep. So here's an interesting. I really like this actually. Playing Dynasty must help a players concentrate on rookie drafts in April. How has the playing Dynasty helped your overall in season long leagues?
Oh my God, tremendously. I jumped into like 8 Dynasty leagues. I only had 1 before, and man, those drafts, 8 different rookie drafts. You're on the rookies. I mean, I was kind of on Elijah Mitchell, but he went in the 20th round in this draft. I must have forgot about him or something. I don't know. One of them guys that just kind of got away, but I really liked him. And Jamar Chase. Oh my God, the guy. The sky's the limit for him. It just it can help. It helps so much. It's unbelievable. It puts you right there. You kind of know where the rookies are going to go. Like I was on Waddle. I couldn't get him at all in any of the rookie drafts, but I seen him there and I pounced on him. I love that guy. He's going to probably play on the outside this year, though. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, he was pretty electric. I was watching his tape in the offseason, and I fell in love with him. My only concern was the injury history. But you knew that the college connection was there with Tua. We knew that they were going to have chemistry together. And he just developed early and fell into a large target share role and just flourished with it. I'd be surprised next year if he fell outside round 4, quite frankly.
Yeah, he's on everybody's radar now. Last year he was there. He fell a little bit, but people are still on to him. But this year they're really on to him.
So did you roll? Are you going to roll any cash over to avoid some taxes here? Enter them into the playoff? Did you enter some of the playoff challenge? Are you going to do any of the 75, the 150s, the 250s, the 500, the 1K drafts that you can find in the lobby at Play FFWC?
I think I'm going to strictly go for the high stakes ones. Like I'm going to hold all my money for that, and that's the route I'm going. I'm established, but there's still room for improvement. The more teams I have, the better chance I get. Because to go back to back, that's tough. I don't know how many people can do that. I don't think
there's only one player that I've known who's done it across all the platforms, and that was Abe Prowse. He won 2 years back to back, and it's quite an accomplishment, quite a feat. If you could do it, Abe, hats off to you, buddy. That's impressive. So we have an answer here on the entries. 3% was the number. While we offer multiple entry contests, we have limited the amount of entries one can submit. For every 100 entries max allowed in any contest, you can submit up to 3 entries, up to 30 max contests. So there's the answer that we have.
Okay.
Also, a follow-up, discount entries are available at FFWCX World and OC contests. Yep. So in the lobby, the 75s, the 150s, the 250s, the 500s, and the 1Ks. And then of course, the playoff tournament or the playoff championship's already started, but you can always enter those as well for folks who are watching here for next year. And with best ball around the corner, I'm a best ball guy. That's my thing. Love best ball. I agree with you. It's kind of where I start my process when I start looking at players and I look at average draft position, where a player's falling, where a player's going, tracking that movement, who's a value, who's too expensive, right? Who am I avoiding and why? That is one of my it's I think one of the best processes because it allows you to physically see it and adjust on the fly and fine tune your process through the off season. How many best ball leagues are you doing a year?
1 year I did 30. This year I toned it down. I did about 11. So, I got what I needed. I just spaced them out a little bit. And every time I did one, I did one every probably 5 or 6 days. Each time I did one, I could see, that there was a lot of fluctuation with all the players. Like Taylor, he really jumped from like the first one to the last one. And I was like, whoa, and then because of that offensive lineman got hurt, he fell a little bit. So that was giant value for Taylor this year, tail end of the second. That was amazing.
Yeah, that's phenomenal value. I saw him slip to like the third in a couple, and you kick yourself looking back at some of these draft rooms, like, what was I thinking, right?
Oh my God, so, yeah.
Because you do so many of these, you're trying to diversify your portfolio, but at times, like the value is just so good, like you question why you pass them at times. Thank you for the reminder here. Live divisional playoff contests are still on sale till Saturday. Standalone 6-player leagues and top 2 scores cash. So head on over to FFWC, take a look at those and get yourself some entries before the kickoff on Saturday. And those entries are still live and ready to rock and roll. So, Abe, why don't you tell everyone where to find you? I know you're on Twitter. Throw out your Twitter handle here for them.
Yeah, that's at Abe Prowse at Abe_Prowse.
It's right there in his name. I had it turned off for some reason. So Abe_Prowse. So everyone make sure to give him a follow. I mean, you're able to see what if he's ever posting boards or what he may doing. It's a free look into some an insight of $150,000 champ over here. So that is not to be taken lightly. Make sure that you are following the champ. Make sure to take a look at anything that he posts and gain some gold nuggets, I like to call them, like words of wisdom, right? So anything you can do to better yourself as a fantasy player. He mentioned it. He said the word grind. That's hence the name of the show, Grind Time. He's grinding the waiver wires. He's grinding film. He's on there watching most of his games. So this is how you improve. This is how you win these kind of things. Yeah. Anything you want to add before we get out of here?
A lot of I just think that you got to trust yourself. I mean, other people's rankings, it's good, but sometimes you need to make an adjustment on a couple of players, maybe.
Yeah, I have to 100% second that. I make my own rankings. I'll compare to people's rankings. Did I miss something? Right? What's off here? Right? But have your own tiers, right? Have your own rankings, and you don't need to rank every single player. And like for instance, I go through and I do projections. Like I'll literally do every single pass attempt, every single completion, every single touchdown, every single yard per carry, yard per attempt, the whole 9 yards. You don't need to go to that level. At the very least, try to create tiers for yourself, right? Yeah. So you're going to say tier 1 next year is going to be Jonathan Taylor through Najee Harris, right? And you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe, 3 running backs in your tier 1, 3 or 4 running backs in tier 2, whatever it may be. Just separate a tier so that way if you see a player slip into a round and you start seeing a bunch of your players go off the board in tier 2, but you still have a tier 1 player on the board, you know who your next target is. That's the player you're going to be focusing on your next pick. So at least have tiers at the very least.
Oh, tiers are beautiful. It's the way to go.
Well, Abe, I want to say thank you for taking the time coming on Grind Time here. I appreciate it. Full time appreciate it. FFWC appreciates it. I'm sure everyone watching and listening appreciates insight into the mind of the $150,000 champion winner. So again, congratulations, job well done, and thanks for joining the show.
All right. Glad to be here.
All right, everybody. Have a good night.